If you want to scale to 20k months and beyond, this video is for you. It's never been easier to build the business you've always dreamed of, but it's also never been harder. Did you know that traditional sushi apprentices can spend 5 to 10 years doing only rice? Some never touch fish for over a decade. You might think that only making rice is basic as fuck, when actually it's considered the foundation of the craft. Did you know that Olympic lifters often train for 8 to 12 years before peak performance? Most sessions are about technique, not max lifts. It's the small errors that fail at elite level. Did you know many surgeons before operating solo on average spend over a decade getting there? 5 to 6 years in medical school, 5 to 6 years in residency at a minimum. You'd look at the top sushi chefs, Olympic lifters and surgeons and believe that what they do based on their performance is easy for them. But they focused on one key thing to get there. One thing that in today's world is massively undervalued. That, my friends, is mastery. And that mastery is built in a sequence. You're trying to scale to fish before you've mastered the rice. You're trying to lift heavy before you lift correctly. And the funny thing is, nobody hands a scalpel to someone who's watched a few fucking YouTube videos. The goals you want to achieve are sequential. How do I know? Because I've followed sequences as they're supposed to be to scale multiple businesses to over 6 figures. So if you want to learn how to do the same, let's dive in and explore how mastering your craft and your business can be aided through the use of following a particular sequence. So like I said, mastery is obviously difficult, but quite simple to achieve if you can be patient, stick in for long enough, and most importantly, operate in a sequence. And I want you to really think about this for a second. I want you to think about the context of your clients, for example. And I want you to think about how you would move a client through a particular process depending on their experience level, their abilities, their background, their skills, and so on and so forth. Let's say, for example, you had a client come to you who was 3 stone overweight and they wanted to lose 3 stone, potentially do some form of performance event, potentially do a photo shoot. Are you going to start dieting them at the start as they would at the point in time in which they were going to do that performance event or they were going to step in front of a camera and do a photo shoot? No, you wouldn't, right? Because that is the final step of that sequence, right? Same thing happens when it comes to things like learning biomechanics. You can't fully understand biomechanics unless you understand anatomy first. So would you skip to biomechanics and skip anatomy? Well, you wouldn't if you respected what you did, right, and the standards that you hold. But many coaches hear things that are so far ahead in the mastery cycle and take them out of context, so much so that they end up sounding stupid, looking stupid, and also getting people hurt, right? So this is why doing anything requires you, if you want to master it, to follow a simple sequence. So, for example, when people go through our 20k roadmap, it is sequential, right? It is sequential because we're not going to teach something to someone that is 6 steps ahead of where they actually are. And what we've seen happen is that many coaches haven't been taught the basic operational overview, systems, data collection, marketing, sales that are required within a business. They've not understood or they've not been taught any of those foundational elements, and they've not understood how to follow a sequence to get a result, because everything has previously always been, here's things to do to get quick wins. And that's it. Do these cold outbound messages per day. Post this type of content, right, without much substance or meaning behind it. And no roadmap, no path to really help someone master what it is that they're doing. So, for example, we have 6 levels currently inside of Built for Coaches. That is going to scale probably to about 12, because after the 20k roadmap, we're going to then start to build the 100k roadmap. So what I mean by that is once we have a large percentage of clients that are over that 20k mark, we're then going to start to build the 100k mark. And I don't mean 100k per year, I mean 100k per month. So that requires you to work in a sequence to understand all of the elements that you need to build and implement at every single stage to have a fully functional and operational business at the end that evidently brings results. So when people come on board, we've got 6, right? We've got 6 stages, and each stage has a particular theme. And each stage is combined of levels 1, 1.1, 2, 2.1, 3, 3.1, 4, 4.1, so on and so forth. And each level is representative of business and coaching. So we help coaches build a clear process for delivery that is rooted in behaviour change, psychology, communication. The base that allows coaches to guarantee a result for any client from any background in any niche, obviously based upon the skills that they build and how good they are at their job. And the second thing is the business, the marketing, the sales, the model, the operations, the data collection, email marketing, long-form marketing, organic marketing, all of that sort of different stuff. So we help people work through this in stages, but you can only work a stage at a time. So 1 and 1.1 you have access to first, and you don't unlock 1 and 1.1 until you've completed them both. So you can't sprint through business and build all of your business elements, then come back to the coaching. Mastery happens by building both sequentially if you want to acquire new clients and also to retain clients. That is the two superpowers of your business, acquisition and retention. So how this starts off is we actually focus on vision, values, helping you paint a clear picture of the business you want to build, why you want to build it, what that looks like, the constraints that you need to operate in. Then we look at your access stack. Your access stack is essentially where you build a business model that allows you to achieve scalability without actually diluting the quality of what you do. Then we go into a lot of depth on psychology around offer from an ideal future client standpoint, perfect future client standpoint, to really get you to think how you can best target people in your market and how the wrap around your product, the offer, contextualizes everything that you actually do. Then we go on to organic mastery, long form content, so on and so forth. Then we go on to sales, then we go on to email marketing. Everything works in a particular process, because see, if you can't implement each thing at each level and get an outcome from it, then you shouldn't be moving on. You shouldn't be moving to the next level, right? Because it tells us that you've not done well enough to see a result from what you should be implementing. So why should we keep jumping forward just for you to consume more information, thinking you're going to find the secret answer, when actually you've already got the answer for what you need to go and implement and see a result from it? That is how this works. That is how this works. But most coaches actually end up defaulting when their clients operate this way, because they go into fixer mode, right? They go into fixer mode. Just give the client what they want. We need to keep them happy. We need to get a result, X, Y, and Z. You're not there to enable people, right? You're not there to enable people bend over backwards and be walked all over and become submissive. It's not your role as a coach. Your role is to be supportive and challenging at all times. So if someone is approaching the process in a way that it shouldn't be approached, you need to re-contract with that person. You need to become more realigned with that person. You need to make sure that you have a discussion and you understand what your roles are in that process and how you're going to move towards the outcome together. And the goal here, realistically, is clarity, right? Because a roadmap, a process, brings clarity. The next thing is scaffolding your goals, right? And this is basically where you go from having like training wheels to potentially being a full-scale fucking athlete, obviously from these diagrams. But you'll maybe have heard of scaffolding before. It's actually quite a common approach when it comes to health and fitness coaching, which is that you give structure and you scaffold steps, habits, behaviours on top of one another. So you'll hear some coaches say, in week 1 of working with my clients, we only focus on these things. And, you know, I actually really like when coaches say this. The reason why is because you need to kind of remember, when a lot of clients start with you, they're changing multiple behaviours at one time. And changing one behaviour indefinitely is difficult enough, never mind loads. So let's say people need to get their steps in, they need to track their nutrition, they need to prep their meals, they need to go to bed at a certain time, they need to make sure that they're not consuming blue light at a certain point in time during the day before they then have a decent enough bedtime routine to then be able to fall asleep. You need to remember and take in your water, you need to get your gym sessions in, you need to log your gym sessions, you need to X, Y, Z. That's a lot of shit, right? So a lot of coaches that I've heard say, I scaffold the steps. So in week 1, I will just get my clients to focus on nutrition and movement outside of the gym. So it means that they've got more time to get sorted, build the skill, so on and so forth. Week 2, we add this thing on. Or sometimes coaches work in bi-weekly phases or monthly phases. And scaffolding is really good to basically add more to people's plates. And that's exactly what we've done in this process as well. Because if you listen to, like, obviously the construction of the levels, as you move through, you're adding in more and more elements. So let's say, for example, you design everything you need in level 1 around your constraints, your future vision, your life, what you really want from your business. Then level 2, you then have to go away and basically build your entire program structure or business model structure, let's say. Then level 3, you need to really get clear on your offer. You then need to start building out what your education process is going to look like. You then have to start building out different elements of your program to make it exactly on point with what the offer actually is. Then in level 4, it then means that you're going to have to start to really dive into like organic mastery. So it's, how do you focus on ideation? How do you script write? How do you fill them all in one go? Editing? How do you do market research? There's so much that goes into it. So obviously, the further on in levels that people get, the more that they have to do, right? So scaffolding steps is important. So what you can do to help people with this is give them templates. So give structure. So you do this thing first, you do this thing first, then you do this thing next. Or you do this thing, then you do this thing, then you do this thing. And this is the same with, let's say, recording a video, right? Recording a video for Instagram, short form piece of content. You're not going to put the call to action at the start, right? It's going to be hook. It's going to be the middle part, which is obviously going to be based around how you want to deliver it. It might be the illustration, the curiosity. It might be the pain points. It might be something technical, whatever it may be. You essentially wouldn't put that at the start. You would put the hook at the start, then you would put the meat and middle bit in the middle, then you would put the call to action at the end. And that works in that sequence because it wouldn't make sense otherwise. So you need to understand, when you understand something as simply as that, and then you question why a process is laid out in a way that you might not understand elsewhere, it's usually for good reason, because that thing needs to come first before X, Y, and Z. Then checklists, so step-by-step checklists. So part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. And I'll just use short form content because we're speaking about it to talk about this example. So market research, content ideation, scripting, filming, editing, right? So that's the checklist. So when you are setting up your entire content for the month, this is the checklist. This is what you need to do. Similar to your clients. So what checklist can your clients have for them to go, okay, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. This is how I do this thing, right? It could even be how you break down a specific movement for them. And then video walkthroughs, so show steps to your entire process. And that is why at the end of each of the levels that we have as well, we basically have steps to say, do this, do this, do this, before you can move on to the next level. So do this first, then do this, and finish with this. Simple, right? Because scaffolding works. The goal here is to reduce friction, increase clarity, order and structure, and focus on one thing, right? Focus on one thing. If you've never read the one thing, I'd recommend that you read it. The next thing as well is basically just making sure that you experiment, right? The mindset of the scientist is that you implement something, right? Well, I'll just break it down actually, just much simpler. Fuck around and find out, right? The more you fuck around and find out, the more you tend to collect data to know what works and what doesn't. Now, fucking around and finding out on the wrong things with the wrong direction will just probably tell you more and more that something doesn't work. But obviously, if you're getting really good advice from someone, but it's like multiple of these different ways could work, we need to experiment and see what works best for you, what one you like best, what one the market responds to, what one your clients respond to. Then you essentially need to build the skill of experimentation through doing different things to see what you are already good at, what you're not so good at, what you can get better at, and what you can become even stronger at. So fucking around and find out allows you to learn the skill, right? Try the skill out. Result of the skill, so you get a result afterwards. Did it work? Did it not? Was it okay? And then you adjust the skill. So you refine the skill, you improve the skill, you get better at the skill. Or if it's something that was just horseshit in the beginning, you completely take it away. And this is where I always say the rule of 100 is important, right? So do it 100 times. You can't say, right? You can't say that this skill works until you've done it 100 times. And I know something I just said there was like, if something doesn't work, you can remove it after the 100 times, right? Because let's look at it from this perspective, right? See if you say, this sales call script doesn't work. I'm not a big fan of scripts, but I'm just using it as an example. This sales call script does not work, and you'd used it 4 times, and no one closed. If you used it 100 times, you think you'd close someone? If you used it 1,000 times, you think you'd close someone? I'd say yes. Is there a better way of doing it? Possibly. But sometimes you've just not done enough volume to know if something works or if it doesn't. Same with content. People try a new piece of content one time, doesn't work one time, and then they go, oh, fuck's sake, it doesn't work. Do it 100 times, right? And if you're like, oh, that's going to take forever, well, you know what? Speed up the volume. Create 3 reels a day, right? There's no rules to this game. You can do what the fuck you want, right? If you want to speed up that process, improve the skill, see if it works, you can do more. No one's stopping you. Identify what worked and what didn't from that. Of course, as I said, remove what didn't and keep what did, and then do it another 100 times, right? And then take the evidence from that. The goal here is to be resourceful, act without permission, right? This big thing. So many coaches need permission. Can you tell me that it's okay to do this thing? And a lot of the time, see, when someone says that to me and they've never done it before, I'm going to say yes, because I've got no data and you've no data to say if you know it works or if it doesn't. So try. Speed and urgency, because the more, as I said, more volume you do, faster you do it, more feedback you're going to get. And then it's all focused around data. So instead of making subjective decisions in your business around emotion, you end up making objective decisions focused on, you guessed it, data. Right? And then we go into milestones, right? So reward progress for your clients. It keeps clients motivated, and it's a symbol of strength. And here's the thing. See if we just zoom out here for a second and we go all the way back to the very start, right? We've got a simple step-by-step process to achieve mastery. We've got clarity on the roadmap and how it's built and what's to be implemented each time. We've got scaffolding. Then we've got experimentation, data. Then we've got something to keep someone like attached to the process, right? Incentives, results, rewards, right? So for example, inside of Built for Coaches, we've actually got reward systems for both our business side and also our coaching side. Now, this is Fat Thor. This is a Funko Pop Fat Thor. Now, I'm just going to say this here. Not everyone gets Fat Thor, right? But when people hit specific revenue goal milestones throughout the process with us, they get Funko Pops for each level to basically say, you've achieved this milestone. So you've hit 5K milestone, 10K milestone, 15K milestone, 30K, 20K milestone, 25K, 30K, so on and so forth. So this rewards progress and keeps people incentivized, but it's said at the start of the process that there's a reason why it's a Funko Pop. In our coaching, we do different prizes and rewards and keep people incentivized that way. But it's a Funko Pop because when I was younger, when I used to get bullied a lot, when I used to really get picked on for my speech impediment and the speech therapy I was going through, I found a lot of comfort in superhero movies. A lot of comfort in it. And I always thought to myself, I want to grow up and be like a fucking superhero one day. Like, who doesn't? And it wasn't their mad strength, their superhuman abilities. It was just that they had a mission. It's that they had a mission, and regardless of how many times they got kicked to the ground, how many times it looked like they'd failed, how many times it looked like the villains had got the better of them, they always just get back up again and remembered that they were in service to something. And that is why we do what we do, and that is why this symbol is much more than just a Fat Thor Funko Pop. It's actually rooted in our values. So milestones allows you to reward progress, it keeps clients motivated, and when people achieve these milestones, it's like a symbol of their work. It's a symbol of how they never stopped, how they always get back up again after they felt like they were being kicked down. It's the fact that they faced failure multiple times before they succeeded. The fact that they stuck to their guns in service of something and chose the hard right over the easy wrong to do things the right way. It's all of these things. And the goal here is to keep clients engaged, connected, competitive, and moving forward. Even in my coaching business back in the day, I ran multiple different incentives. I gave clients upwards of like £1,200 at a time. I ran challenges, low-cost challenges to the public, one in which someone won a holiday. They ended up getting a holiday to Ibiza. Like all of these sorts of different things. It incentivizes people, and it gives people a real feeling of additional accountability. Now, here's the thing. I believe that accountability starts with you, but then you can be accountable to yourself, your coach, and then also a community. So the more layered accountability there is sometimes for someone, the easier it is for them to stand by their mission and what they're in service to, even when the chips are against them. So these are things that you should really be thinking about including inside of your coaching program if you want to make sure that you're moving people towards mastery, but also how you need to respect processes if you also want to achieve that for yourself and your own business. Right, team, I hope you found this useful. I'm a firm believer that when you say yes to one thing, you say no to something else. Most people are saying yes to things that don't prioritize their progression or their goals. At some point in time, you're going to have to say no to convenient distractions, so why not save yourself the unnecessary suffering and time by making change today? The longer you wait, the deeper the roots of the tree get, and the more cemented your behaviours and beliefs become, which makes them so much harder to break. If you have years under your belt of not going all in on who you want to become to achieve what you want, then don't add more resistance. Most coaches doing well in business but stuck under the 20k per month mark have gotten there through sheer will, not sequential steps. So if you want to bring order and structure to your business to scale to new levels, hit the link in the description below and DM me 67 on Instagram, where we can have a chat about how we can help you scale to heights that you know that you're capable of. Right, that was class. Make sure you drop a like if you found it useful and subscribe to get notifications for our next release. I'll see you in the next one.